Hello everyone, welcome to week number 7 in Bio 120. We only have this week and next week left, so let's see what we've got going on. All right, so last week you learned about asexual reproduction, for example, in bacteria where they do binary fission, and sexual reproduction, and the purpose of that is to mix up genes from parents so you get all different kinds of offspring. You learned about heredity. And if you're taking the lab, you also did a lot of that in lab with your fast plants. We discussed nature versus nurture, which is always an interesting concept. And there is no right answer to which one contributes to producing any organism, because they're both right. But just how much of each there is, we don't know yet. And we looked at biodiversity too. Biodiversity within a species is really important. We've got to have lots of genes out there in the gene pool so that the species can survive any kind of stressor. All right, this week, what do we have going on? Ecology and ecosystems. You're not going to do a lot of this in your work, except that most of you include this in your final project. But the 2 chapters for this week are 44 on ecology, and so that's the study of ecosystems. An ecosystem is a community of organisms that live together and their environment. So that includes the rainfall, how much shade there is, what's the temperature, what's the soil like, etc., etc. And chapter 46 is all about different types of ecosystems. All right. Take a look at the Module 4 overview and watch the video. And I'm also going to post another one on red tides in Florida so that you get an idea of what eutrophication is if you wish to post in the discussion board. And eutrophication it's a natural aging out process of bodies of water, but we sort of help that along as human beings because we like to dump waste and fertilizers and things like that into water systems. And so we get things like red tides, algal blooms, that sort of thing that destroys the quality of the water, whether it's the ocean or a lake or a pond or whatever it is. So the discussion board postings this week are optional because you have a huge project due. But feel free to post in the discussion board. I'll be on there too. Eutrophication is a discussion. The video in this section is all about the Great Lakes and how eutrophication has happened there over time. Is still happening. Hopefully we get a handle on this someday. The phosphorus cycle, waste, and energy and nutrient flow. And if you're doing the lab, all of this is important anyway for all that lab work that you have this week. So feel free to post in the discussion board. And then what do you have due? You have your final project due, and I do want to talk about this for a minute. This final project is worth 260 points out of your total 1,000 points for the class. You do realize that that is more than 1/4 of your points are tied up in this final project. And that's why you've done those milestones, so that you can get those graded and make corrections to them before you put them all together in your final project. Please don't neglect this because it is a huge assignment. It's really important. Okay, what else about it? It has to be slides. Can't be an essay format, can't be an outline format. It has to be slides. PowerPoint, Google, Canva, whatever. It doesn't really matter what kind of slide software you use, but make slides. With that being said, if they're slides, you don't just have words upon words upon words on a slide. That is so boring. You're making this into a presentation. So make sure that the slides look good. Speaker's notes. I'm going to put an extra little video in my announcements to show you how to find where to put the speaker's notes if you don't know. And it takes, 15 seconds to look at that video. So there's no excuse for not putting the speaker's notes at the bottom of the slides. That's where they go. They don't go in a Word document. I know that some instructors want you to make a separate document. I do not. I want to see them at the bottom of the slide because that's the way that you would look at them if you were presenting this to an audience. And of course you are presenting this to me. So speaker's notes at the bottom of the slides. This includes all 3 of the milestones. And no matter how many times I say that, every term somebody is only going to turn in the 3rd milestone. Oops. So like 2/3 of your points are already out the window because you don't have all the milestones. This is a compilation of all the information from all the milestones that you've done so far. If you will look on the grading rubric, everything from the beginning, the introduction, the topic, where, how, who, it starts at the beginning, and I'm grading all the way through just like I would start at milestone 1 and work my way through to the end of milestone 3. Corrections. Make sure that you have looked at my feedback in the grading of those 3 milestones and fix what is wrong. That is very important. So fix things that are wrong because I'm going to be grading this just like I'm looking at it from scratch. Include imagery. Include graphics. Graphs and tables, little animations if you want. You've got to have some kind of impact when the person in your audience is looking at your slide, not just a bunch of words. I will grade off on this if you don't have any imagery because that is not the way to make a slide presentation. Of course, I've seen these before. There's no imagery whatsoever, just a bunch of words. Especially geneticists. I have to tell you that. If you go to a geneticist conference, oh my goodness. All you see on a slide is A's, T's, G's, and C's over and over and over again. Yeah, very boring. Include data if you can find any data. If you're talking about climate change, okay, there's lots of data out there. If you're talking about a pollution problem in your area, there's going to be data somewhere on that pollution problem. So data always backs up what you are presenting. Label every section. I cannot emphasize this enough because I have to know the topic who section. I have to know the analysis section. I can't just guess. If I'm guessing, I may guess wrong about what you thought you were putting on a slide. So every section heading has to be on your slides. This also tells your audience what you're going to be talking about. So label, 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 label. I can't emphasize that enough. If I'm guessing, I may get it wrong. So I'm just saying this helps you out if you label. Other hints, turn it in on time so that I have time to grade it. This takes me a long time to grade all of these, as you can imagine, because I'm reading each and every slide, each and every word in the speaker's notes, and that grading rubric is really long. So turn it in as soon as you can because we're getting toward the end of the term and I need time to grade. All right, and then finally, if you need anything whatsoever, you know how to get in touch with me, m.sigmon@snhu.edu. Just email me, and I will email you back. And one other word here, the last day of the term is Sunday, December the 18th, and this is the deadline for everything. Everything has to be in before midnight that night. Because after that point, you cannot submit anything else. And don't send it to me and ask me to put it in there because I can't either. All I can do is grade at that point. So make sure you understand that and get everything in that you need to get in. Sunday, December the 18th before midnight. Okay? I hope that you have a great week and that you enjoy putting together your final project because I can't wait to see them. And with that being said, have a great week.